Alright, so welcome to this video. In this video we're going to go to complete the square again. So this is problem number 17 from your worksheet. It looks a little scary compared to the previous example that we just saw, but it's actually not that bad. In fact, this is probably one of the more challenging ones that you'll have on your worksheet. So if you can tackle this one, I'm fairly confident that you can tackle the rest of your assignment. Again, don't forget it's due on Monday. Alright, so let's go ahead and work through this problem. Step 1 says to rewrite this problem in terms of ax squared plus bx plus c equals a number. Unfortunately, our problem is not written in that way. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just move everything over. So I'm going to grab this negative 8x, I'm going to throw him over. I'm going to grab this positive 2, I'm going to throw him over. I'm going to grab this positive 3 and I'm going to throw that positive 3 over. What that's going to do is, well, nothing's going to happen to this negative 7k squared. I'm going to leave that alone. Nothing, again, is going to happen to this negative 12, so I'm going to leave that alone. However, the second that I throw this negative 8 over, this negative 8k squared over, it becomes positive 8k squared. The second I throw this positive 2k over, it becomes a negative 2k. And when I move this positive 3 to the other side, we now have a negative 3. The question is, well, if I've thrown everything over from the right side and I move everything over to the left side, what's left over? Well, that's just 0. And so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and combine my like terms. So I start looking for some like terms. Well, I see that I have a negative 7k and a positive 8k. So let me go ahead and combine those two. Well, negative 7k squared plus 8k squared, that is simply just 1k squared, or we can just write k squared. Alright, so let's keep going. Any other like terms that I have? Well, looks like I just have this, let's see, let me do this in pink. Negative 2k. So I have negative 2k there, so I'm just going to rewrite that. Negative 2k. And I have, let's see, I have negative 12 and negative 3. So negative 12 minus 3 makes negative 15. And then again, all I have is equals 0. Now it looks like step 1 has been completed. It looks something like this in its box, right? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals a number. In this case, our number is just 0. And that's fine. Alright, so let's move on to step 2. Step 2 says to multiply everything by 4a. So you don't always necessarily have to do step 2. Sometimes you can get away with not doing it. I'll explain more in class later. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to multiply by 4a. Now the first thing is identifying, well, what is your a? So remember, a is always just the number in front of your squared term. So that in this case, a is equal to 1. So I'm just going to write that off to the side. A is equal to 1. So what is 4 times 1? Well, 4 times that number, 4a, is equal to 4. So this, again, is the number that we're going to multiply the entire equation by. So I'm going to multiply this entire equation by 4. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, 4 times 1. So 4 times 1 is just 4k squared. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8k. And 4 times negative 15, well, that's just negative, 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2, that looks like it's going to be 60. 4 times 0 is 0. So there we go. We have our equation. So step 2 is taken care of. The next part is just to complete our square, so let's go ahead and do that. So here's my square. Let's see. Again, might not be the most perfect square, but it's good enough for me. And we're going to look at the first term. That goes in our first box, 4k squared. So what times what is 4k squared? Well, we know it's going to be 2k times 2k. Okay, nothing going on there. Let's look at our middle. Let's look at our middle guy. We have negative 8k. So let's cut that guy in half. So half of negative 8 is negative 4. So it's going to be negative 4k and negative 4k. Now, the number that goes up here, again, think 2k times this number is negative 4k. Well, that's going to be negative 2. And just double check. 2k times negative 2 is negative 4k. Yeah, that holds. And if you do it correctly, it should be the same thing here. And again, we can just check our work. Negative 2 times 2k, again, negative 4k. So now let's figure out this box here. Well, that's just going to come from this guy here, negative 2 times negative 2, that is positive 4. Alright, so we've taken care of the 4k squared, we've taken care of the negative 8k, we need to take care of this negative 60 now. This negative 60, we should have had 4. Well, I need to make this negative 60 a 4, so I need to add some stuff. Well, what am I going to add? Well, let's just think about it really quick. If I add 60, so this is a negative 60. If I add 60, I'm going to be at 0. Right? So negative 60 plus 60 is 0. I need 4 more. So instead of adding 60, let me add 4 more than that, and let me add just 60. Let me add 64. So negative 60 plus 64 is the 4 that I need. Now just don't forget that whatever I add to the left, I have to also add it to the other side. So 0 plus 64 is 64. And so now what I've done is I've taken care of the 4k squared, I've taken care of the negative 8k, and now I've taken care and made sure that there's a 4 there. So now I can go ahead and use the sides of my squares, or the side of my square, I'm sorry. So this becomes 2k minus 2 squared is equal to the right side. Now the right side is not 0 anymore. It used to be, but we added 64, so it's now 64. So again, let's keep working this problem out. This turns into a level 1 type problem. So again, this problem just becomes, let's see, again, take the square root of both sides, and we end up with 2k minus 2 is equal to the square root of 8, that is positive 8 or negative 8. Now again, just add 2, add 2, add 2. What do we get? Well, that cancels out. So I'm left with 2k is equal to 8 plus 2, that is a 10, or negative 8 plus 2. Negative 8 plus 2 is a negative 6. Alright, so now the last step to do here is just to divide by that 2. So if I divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, I get my final answer. So we can say that k is equal to 10 divided by 2 is 5, right? So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Or negative 6 divided by 2, well, that's just negative 3. And there is our solution. So again, not much to these problems. They're very straightforward. It's not as ugly as it looks. Just take it one step at a time.